I'm honored to be here. As Steffi said, the last time I was in Germany, I was on the DLD stage in Munich. I was launching a project with the pop group Duran Duran. You know Duran Duran? We were launching a data visualization project that visualized fan photos onto a map and connected words between fans around the world. And when DLD came to San Francisco years ago, I talked about my work with civic innovation and tactical urbanism. But today, I want to talk about a current passion, which is the topic of the art of neural networks. Okay, everything's up there. So it's not a tech talk, just warning you, but sort of. You might be interested that in San Francisco, technology is a negative word. Because of all the gentrification and the housing prices. So in San Francisco, we have to be careful how we talk about technology. So I'm actually running in a media arts organization today, and my work helps to humanize technology. I'm an experiential curator, and if you ask me to create many of the technology-based artworks that I'll share today, I'd only be able to scratch the surface. I'm a curator, executive director, philanthropist, funder, and I work with artists who use technology as a medium to create artwork and exploit its potential. I run an organization called Gray Area Foundation for the Arts, or GAFFTA, as it says in your program. We go simply by gray area now because we work between fields and we're without genre to define our work. Gray Area operates the Grand Theater in San Francisco's Mission District. Who's been to San Francisco? Have you been to the Mission? Have you seen this theater? We're at 23rd and Mission. There's a lot of burritos and Mexican food around. This theater was built in the 1940s. It's an 800-person venue that we've been able to bring back to support culture in San Francisco. We reach 100,000 people annually here in the Mission, and it's the perfect venue for repurposing for digital art. From a film cinema built in the 1940s, to a living cultural hub for digital arts. The venue is inspiring, and we help facilitate the creation of new artworks every day. This is Su-Gun Cheng, who uses machine learning and robotics in her work, presenting at our annual festival. Our mission is to apply art and technology to create social and civic impact through education, incubation, and public events. We teach code to create art. So in Silicon Valley, we collaborate with a lot of technology companies. This is an interactive digital screen we created at the Dolby headquarters that just opened 3 years ago. We worked with Dolby to connect Dolby's team with a youth apprenticeship program where we taught high school youth and paired them with creative code artists. So that this was actually programmed, it's an interactive screen that was programmed at Dolby's headquarters with members of our community. So we teach adults and teenagers how to use code and electronics to create art and not apps and games. That's why it's not a tech talk. We also work with artists on a biannual program to create art and technology projects. This is a project called the Visual Voice Virtual Reality. It uses your voice as an instrument and creates geometric patterns with sounds of your voice. Here's a quick video of this. This project is extremely unique because you go into this experience and you're sort of in a meditative pose. It's really hard to create shared virtual reality experiences today. So this project is part of our incubator. We also curate research labs, which collect teams of artists to research a topic. Recently, we collaborated with a big car company who I can't name, to investigate what digital arts would look like when we don't drive our vehicles anymore. So the result was an interactive experience that allowed passengers to select from 8 avatars which transition between each other and animate in response to music, driving data, and the color of the car environment. So this is when we don't have drivers anymore, all of a sudden our car screens become screens. So our windows become screens on the cars. So imagine if you had an avatar that was responding to your environment as you drove by, responding to color, responding to seasons, responding to music, your mood. And of course, we present these types of experiences in a theatrical format. So together with companies, artists are working to take digital art onto other surfaces. We also worked with Berlin-based artist Robert Henke recently to bring him to San Francisco with his Lumiere laser audio show. He's one of the inventors of the electronic music production software Ableton Live. But back in 2007, I thought digital art only belonged in a gallery. Before Gray Area became a nonprofit, it was actually a digital arts gallery, and I was trying to frame digital art and data art. The first exhibit was curated with founding board member Aaron Koblin. This is a pretty famous work called Flight Patterns that he created in 2006. And so we were actually framing this as a sort of framed piece that we would sell to collectors with a Blu-ray player embedded in it. And we started to realize that we didn't want to become a tech squad a sort of geek squad for digital art because things would start to break down. And I think this is a common problem with museums. And so we went from framing data art to actually working with companies to open source data and working with the San Francisco city government. We worked with Waze. We worked with Waze to curate a data artist and a sound artist to sonify 24 hours of data from Tel Aviv. Data visualization has become one of the main tools of the creative code community, and it's obviously a visual way to understand the petabytes of data that humans produce and uncover these complex stories. So the Waze, under a contract, gave artists this access to this data, which is very, very exciting. We started to, since a lot of this data that we were opening with companies was urban, we started to use computer vision and urban data and take it into civic space. This is a project called Liquid Time, created by Camille Utterback, where we collected a bunch of film around the Tenderloin neighborhood and allowed the community in front of our facade to remix the screen by going backward and forward in front of it. So you could sort of see, with strips of film, you could see yourself within the facade. This is a project by Theo Watson, a similar concept from 2011 called Faces, also using computer vision and face tracking. On the facade, you have a camera. People stand in front of the facade, take a picture. Your image becomes a billboard across a large-scale billboard. What was beautiful about this project was that the community got together and became patrons of it. So anyone from a homeless person or someone living around the corner or commuting to work became a patron of the work. and it became the sort of social space in front of our center. This is a very important work by Kyle McDonald and Arturo Castro from 2011 called Face Substitution. So at this point, everyone knows Snapchat. This project is a precursor to Snapchat. Snapchat was released in 2012. This is one of the first face swapping apps. You see these artists swapping with images. So these experiments in the creative code community they have huge commercial potential, but these artists aren't really making billions of dollars like Snapchat. These are just experiments to exploit and unearth what's possible with these technologies. And when Microsoft released the Kinect in 2010, within 2 weeks, it had an open source driver, and artists were using the computer vision within the Kinect to exploit what was possible with that technology. And all the projects that I showed actually in some way, shape, or form use the Kinect. And so in the summer of 2015, Google released the Deep Dream research blog post and open sourced the code. And of course, artists responded after this puppy slug image was posted to Reddit. A new round of artists working with machine learning and artificial intelligence was born. And so data visualization and computer vision have been tools that have become accessible to the creative code community for years as technology and data has advanced, and it's become clear that when Deep Dream went viral, it was an important tool for artists to begin to use. And so Gray Area and myself as a curator worked with Google Research from July 2015 all the way till February 2016 to curate the first exhibition using the Deep Dream technology, the Deep Dream, the Art of Neural Networks exhibition. And each of the featured pieces represented a collaboration between machine and a human. And as a curator, I was really frustrated that the art was going to be placed in psychedelia, and was very important for us for the artwork to be placed into the art market. And so inside the gallery effort, we curated art from 10 different artists and engineers to hang on the walls, chosen to represent the sheer diversity of ways computer vision can be used to make art. Each artist had a unique background, ranging from VR filmmaker Jessica Brilhart to Joshua Nimoy, a computational artist who worked on Tron Legacy. And artificial intelligence and machine learning is very complex, and so we had to sort of explain and educate the audience about the techniques. So there was a symposium, and we organized the exhibition by neural network techniques: Deep Dream, fractal Deep Dream, class visualization, and style transfer. So these are images from the exhibition, and 19 works were put into a silent auction. 7 works were placed into a live auction, and I'm going to highlight 2 that fetched the highest prices. So this was a work that sold about $8,000. All of the works were actually named by AI. So Mass in the Stars was named by an AI sort of poem writer by Ross Goodwin. So all the titles were sort of these kind of play on words. This is a work by Memo Atkin. This work actually fetched the highest price, was $8,500. And this image is a hallucination seeded by a satellite view from Google Maps and reimagined through Google's artificial neural networks. It's a portrait of the all-watching eye of the GCHQ from the cloud. The press kind of missed the mark about the show, stating that the computers were making thousands instead of the artists, and the headlines were all similar. The press and media have been missing the mark for quite some time. The artists are training the AI. We are training the AI. So let's look back for a moment. The term artificial intelligence was coined in 1956 when leading minds gathered at Dartmouth University to discuss possibilities of what machines might think. This began a period of time where government-funded prizes around this topic were happening for several decades. And the potential of AI overtaking society seeped into popular culture in the 1968 science film, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Stanley Kubrick's space epic, introducing HAL 9000, a paranoid computer attempted to kill the spacemen on the spacecraft it controlled. And amid disappointment of progress, government started to cut funding in the 70s, dubbing this the AI winter, which arguably we've been in until recently. And in 1984, one of my favorite movies, The Terminator, was released, and it's probably the preeminent doomsday scenario for artificial intelligence taking over society, with robots overthrowing humans. And then in 1997, we saw one of the major recent advancements with IBM's computer beating the world chess champion over 6 games. And now we all carry, in 2011 till now, we all carry artificial intelligence in our hands with Siri's Apple Intelligent Assistant debuting on the iPhone, expanding speech recognition as we know it. And in 2012, Google's driverless cars made their way into California roads using image recognition technology to recognize objects and decide where to stop, avoid, or continue. However, there's a bias currently. Artificial intelligence expert Vivian Ming said machine learning systems often reflect biases in the real world. Some systems struggle to recognize non-white people because they were trained on internet images which are overly white. The bias of the internet reflects the bias of society. When Google launched its photo app in 2015, we started to see these imperfections highlighted. There were African Americans tagged as gorillas. And getting this technology right is increasingly important as machine learning is used for more everyday tasks. Google self-driving cars, which are being tested on public roads, use the technology to recognize objects and decide whether to stop, avoid, or continue. Tay.ai was released by Microsoft. It was an AI modeled like a teenage girl in order to improve customer service on their voice recognition software. However, it started to be trolled by the teenagers and started to say these sort of vulgar things, getting that unfiltered vocabulary that you get on the internet. So they immediately had to take it down the following day. There's also these new startups that are claiming to be able to detect gay people by their facial marks. This just was released about, I think, last month. And we must be very careful about our claims of what AI can do for security. I can't imagine what a government regime like North Korea or another one might do with an AI that claims to detect gay or queer people through its facial recognition software. An artist in San Francisco named Katsu just recently produced this exhibition called AI Criminals, where he sort of is praising Elon Musk for his work, which is all around open AI research. He used a criminal database of mugshots, commenting on the fact that we can train our AI to be criminals, we can train our AI to be Democrats, we can train our AI to be racists, we can train our AI to be anything. So we need to be very careful as artists, as a society, as we start to work with technology, and this technology. I would recommend Blaze's recent article. AI will start to judge people based on their appearance, which is not how we act as a humankind. So I see in the near future, artists will continue to uncover biases in this AI, and I encourage artists and you all to train the AI to positively support society. Thank you.